from Paul Rutter. Paul, good morning to you. You'll have been hearing what Keith was saying there, and he was in Eddie Howe's news conference this morning. What's your opinion of Howe at the moment?
It's still exactly like Keith said, to be honest. The bloke does have so much credit in the bank. Yes, the times are frustrating. Yes, the results aren't great. However, you know, in the 34 years or so that, you know, I've been going on and off, and then, you know, more often than not recently, you know, he's arguably the best manager that we've ever had. So, yes, there was some booing at half-time. That was probably more directed towards Mr. Magoo, who was refereeing the game, to be honest. There was boos at full-time, but again, it's the performance. You've got to expect that. It wasn't a great performance. We did make lots of mistakes. But that isn't a reflection, I don't think, one little bit on Eddie Howe. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I trust the man with my bank card and my PIN number. If he broke into my house on a night and I'd found him, I'd make him a cup of tea and come and have a chat with him. A cup of tea. Man has produced miracles. Semi-finals, 2 finals, a cup, 2 Champions League qualifications whilst battling Richard Masters' myriad of anti-competitive rules. I think the bloke's done an absolute and utter miracle. And I'm glad he is the manager of our club. We've had, what, 5 or 6 good managers out of the time I've been watching the club. Out of, what, 34 years, 16 managers, 5 or 6 good managers. Eddie Howe is certainly one of them.
This manager, Eddie Howe, is authentic. There's no acting with Eddie Howe. A load of other managers you see acting, they talk for a reason. He talks from the heart. He's honest. If I'm a Newcastle fan, when this man, he's under pressure now, and like we said, it might be the most difficult spell since he's been there. When you see him interviewed there today, you must be proud to have that man in charge of your team.
Exactly. I mean, not 2 minutes ago, we had Steve Bruce, who blamed the fans for literally the colour of the grass. The bloke was Mr. Deflection, Mr. Teflon. We had Steve Bruce in charge. We've had some other whoppers. You know, your Joe Kinnears of the world, with the greatest of respect. Your John Carvers of the world. Then you've got a bloke who's one of the most genuine people since probably Bobby, Kevin Keegan and the likes, Chrissy Houghton, who are also rated very, very highly. He's a man of great quality, great character. I trust him. Yes, it's a bad time at the moment. Nobody thought that the recruitment was terrible over the summer. Quite the opposite, in fact. And I'd say 90% of the ground were singing Eddie Howe's name, were fully behind Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, for that matter, the rest of the coaching team. And it's social media, which, of course, absolutely puts the focus on all the negative side and blows it up, so it looks a little bit proportionate. But certainly from my seat in the East Stand at St James's Park, there was a lot of love and a lot of support and understanding for the situation that Eddie Howe is in.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. I'm glad you mentioned Jason Tindall there, because I always looked at their career together, know them both very, very well. And through the bad times, Jason's always next to him. You know, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Sometimes you see the assistant come out, or the set-piece coach, and wants to stand when all's going well and the sun's shining and the flowers are in the garden. And all of a sudden, in the bad days, they blend into the dugout. Yeah. Jason never does that. He stands. They're in it together. But Eddie is prepared to take all the brunt of it because he's the manager.
Yeah, and he has. And to be fair, Jason Tindall was out. He was demonstrating with the 4th official on numerous occasions, because the referee,
not like him,
just like the Chelsea game, was having an absolute and utter mare. There'll be another apology letter somewhere, I'm sure. But he was there. He was beside Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe was demanding. He was waving his arms. He was trying to motivate. He was trying to do all the right things. It's not like, again, Steve Bruce comes out, picks his teeth and goes back into the dugout. It's not that type of situation. You know, this is a person who, he cares. He cares, and you can see that. And I respect and appreciate the fact that Eddie Howe actually cares, because there's been many managers previously that we've had that couldn't absolutely care 2 bits about what happens to the football club. But he genuinely does put the football club before even himself and his family.
If they want to make a change, I challenge anyone to come in and do a better job than Eddie Howe. And if they do decide a knee-jerk reaction because of a small quota of the fans are a bit disgruntled with his results recently, let him weather this storm, because if you don't, he will be the England manager with Jason Tindall as his assistant after the summer.
Yeah, that's the only way, to be honest, Tim, that he won't be Newcastle manager. The only way is if England approach him and he goes on for a career progression and that side of it. I haven't heard ownership, I haven't heard management say a bad word about him. In fact, quite the opposite.
Good.
Everybody that sits around me has been saying nothing but positive. Do you understand? Look, we've had 30% of our first team out for the majority of the season. You've got Johan Visser back and the likes. Sven Botman's missed loads of time. Lewis Hall's missed loads of time. We're being killed by having to play a 35-year-old 3 times a week. No team of Livramento. You know, it's a high proportion of injuries that we've got, similar to what Spurs have got. And we happen to make we happen just to get on with it, playing every couple of days. It is what it is, but I still do think that the right man is in charge of the football club, and I'm 100% behind what the club is trying to do. It's a blip. It's a blip.
We need a very quick answer here, Paul. Running out of time. More stories about Sandro Tonali wanting out. Would you just get rid in the summer now?
Look, after the Isaac thing, I think we've all learned a lesson. You don't get too attached to certain players. When you go to the theatre, it's not because of actors. If you go to the circus, it's not to see a specific type of clown. I love Newcastle United. Newcastle United will go on. If Tonali leaves, then he leaves for a huge price tag. I love Tonali. I think he's great. But the club always comes first.
Right. OK, Paul, thank you very much indeed for that.
Thanks,
We've had loads of
no
Newcastle
problem.
fans getting in touch, showing their support